So, why don't you tell us about some of the people that you ran with in the early days and beyond?
Well, in the early days, we were, of course, the first time we ran, we were on the outside. You know, we were the outsiders, and there were a number of things that we thought should be improved or could be improved. And part of that is ignorance of knowing what the system really is. You know, and once you get involved in the system and learn what it is, you find out that these people weren't as bad as you thought. However, there's still some improvement to be made.
Right.
So I ran with an outside group there. We had Tom Finnegan and Harry DeLizio and Harold Austin Jr., Anna Cowan, John McGinnis, Harold Wilson, several that I've forgotten. But we all ran, and we had an election in 76, I think it was, 1976.
Mm-hmm.
We ran as the Spirit of 76 ticket. We were the outsiders. And in that election, there was one of the people was not eligible actually to run. One of the people that got elected was not eligible to run. So the incumbent ticket, the staff ticket, they decided they were going to have to rerun the district council election. And in that first run, I was not successful in the council race. And at that time, we had 3 tickets running. We had the staff ticket, our ticket, and another ticket. Essentially, it was an Auburn ticket and a Plant 2 ticket and a staff ticket is about what it amounted to. And Renton has always been sort of the decider, because you always had had Auburn and Seattle running against each other, and Renton made the difference. So I got a call from Paul Kenny and said, you know, do you want to be on the council? And I said, well, the election's over. He said, no, it's not. We're going to run it again. I said, you better get down here. And so on the way down to the district council meeting, on the seat of my truck while I'm driving, I designed a piece of literature and decided who could win the next election. And went after that election, or after we got down there, I called a meeting of those folks and put together a ticket combining the 3 tickets that had been running into one ticket. And we ran and won every spot. We ran all 9 council delegates, and well, at that time, the also-rans became the alternates. That's a change in the bylaws that happened since then. Now that you have the alternates run separate, you know, as a separate office. In those days, it was whoever didn't quite finish got to be the alternates. So anyway, long story short, we won that election, and the remnants of that coalition are still here today. We still have the remnants of that, or the result of that group has even continued till today. So.
Now, you were also appointed as steward coordinator and then later on as administrative assistant. You want to tell about those activities that you had?
Well, actually, they were all at the same time. I had was steward coordinator, a administrative assistant, and the steward coordinator duties. I went into when I took over the steward position. I looked at the records on stewards, and we had something, well, at that time we had on the books, we had almost 1,400 union stewards. So I did an audit and found that about 150 of that 1,400 were dead. They weren't even in the company anymore, you know, they had died or retired or whatever. So we cleaned that up a little bit and got down into 1,250 or so, and everybody was going their own way. So we started a training class. Started training as stewards, and actually Tom Baker at that time hired 2 educators to do nothing but train stewards, and so our stewards became very, very good stewards after that. And part of that job in there is disciplining stewards and basically supervising 1,250 people. So it was a full-time job in and of itself. Never mind the administrative assistant duties and other little as directed assignments that I had in that job.
You did quite a lot of things as administrative assistant, far beyond what a lot of other people do. For instance, the Rosie the Riveter activities. Another one I remember is the Everett statue. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, in the, well, that would have been, 95 strike? 1995 strike. We were up there in the building, which, by the way, was another one of my assignments, was to oversee the building of the Everett Hall. And the building had been an old tavern. And so just prior to the strike, I had the contractors in, and we gutted that and made it usable for a strike headquarters. It wasn't complete by any means. And people would come in there and congregate, and we had a family come in. One night it was raining just terrible. It was just a downpour out there. And there was a man, a woman, and a couple of kids came in. And I told them, I said, well, here's your picket station. If the kids want to stay here and play in the building, it's relatively dry and warm in here, they could stand. Oh, no, I want the kids to go with us. So the whole family is out there standing by a burn barrel in the rain, picketing. And so I thought, that really is touching. So I forgot who was, I think it was Truck Vandertorn and I think it was. We were sitting up there at the last day of the strike.
I think there was a few of us out there.
Well, there were several of us, but we had talked about we should memorialize this in some fashion. And one of our members, Ken Lon, a local F retired member, is a sculptor. He works in iron. He's got several pieces across the country that he's done, including one at our headquarters down here. That's out on the lawn of our headquarters. So I called him up and I said, Ken, I would like you to come up with a statue for us for this Everett Hall, and I'd like to have a family standing around, picketing around a burn barrel. And he said, okay. And so in about 3 or 4 days' time, or a week's time, he came up and he had pictures and an actual miniature model of the statue. And so I took that and I went to various organizations and our members and so on. We sold bricks to pave the courtyard up there, and that's how we raised funds for that. And a lot of controversy in that. Good art is always a little controversial because the company has, of course, hated it. They absolutely despised that thing. They would take little shots at us every time about having it there. But people love it or hate it, and I think that's good art when you can discuss it. And I think a guy that came up with the best argument for it was Bill Johnson, who was our district president at that time. And the company said every time we drive by that thing, we remind you guys are striking and all this stuff. And Bill told me, he said, well, when I drive by that, it reminds me that we have to do a better job when we talk to each other. And I thought that was pretty profound coming from Bill just off the cuff like that. He told me, we need a better job of talking to each other, because that's the result of when we don't talk to each other. So anyway, that it stands up there. It has an eternal flame that is not always turned on. It's got a gas burner in the barrel, and I think it gets turned on for special occasions now, but it's essentially the eternal flame. Supported by many other labor organizations around the area. You go up there, you'll see their brick on the patio, and those bricks were laid by the Bricklayers Apprenticeship Committee. They came out there as one of their class projects and laid those bricks.